Well, if you've ever dealt with technical issues when you're trying to get it started, but for real, if you've ever watched an NFL kicker doink field goal off each bar on consecutive kicks, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We defeated the technical problems. We made it to Tuesday. We've got more stuff to trade here today. 13's in the back. Y'all folks know what to do. Smash up that like and get ready to print some money.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
Hello and good morning, folks. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Live Trading. Great to have all of you back here. We're getting a lot of good mornings here too. Crimp Biscuit, literally one of my favorite names, Crimp Biscuit. Absolutely love that. Edward, Sideshow, AC, Market Sniper, Shaka, Richard, Big Bees, Vintage Tool, Restorations. Let's talk hustle and bustle. Love that. Beach Bum Trading, one of our longest supporters, Beach Bum. Throw it up. Actually, smash up the like for Beach Bum Trading, who's been around for a while and helped saw out. Mark, welcome back. Elon, Fairchild, Joey, River, Carmen, Gene, Austin, Thinking About It, J. Michael, Gabe, Media Horde. Let's go. We got them all in here. Let's bring on 13. Good morning, man. How are you doing here today?
I'm doing fine. Earnings season's here. So let's
started with the banks this morning.
So let's see what we can get out of this.
Okay, we actually, we don't have a whole lot of movers, 13. So if you want to kind of focus on some of those different earnings trades like Goldman Sachs or perhaps Johnson & Johnson, we can go ahead and do that right after we break down these movers.
Sure.
Just really not a whole lot here. So let's go ahead and do it. Thank you, Zunaid. Much appreciated. Let's go ahead and add the SPY here to the stream. SPY is really kind of hanging out under the high that it put in yesterday. So we opened up at new all-time highs. We pushed up yesterday. 585.27 is the high print. The SPY here today is pretty much just under where the after-hour session closed yesterday. Closed at 584.32. Current price here, 584.65. So we're pretty much in line. I'd say given, everything else, it sure looks like we're probably going to trade up today here in the SPY, but we'll see what happens when the market opens. We've kind of talked about this recently. It doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of catalysts to drive us down. Buy the dippers seem to rule the day. So 13, really quick before we go into the movers and then the earnings, do you have anything here on SPY, anything level related that you were looking for?
Oh, no, we can just go and look at our last previous all-time highs for downside levels. Should we get any of that today? Starting with 580 and 33 cents. That's the previous all-time high we had before we put in a new one yesterday. And we're getting some pretty bullish candles over the past week and starting this week out. So yeah, we could end up trading up higher. The only problem I have with that is that when I look across longer term time frames on the SPY, not just the daily, but like the weekly and the monthly, we're very extended here on the RSI. We're over 70 on those longer time frames, and we're about to be over 70 on the daily. I think there'd be some coming back in at some point soon. Can't exactly tell you when that's going to happen, but we do not stay extended like this for a very long time. We can for a certain period of time, but it usually ends up coming back in after a little while. So just be on the lookout for that. We could get some coming back in since we're very extended here in the SPY.
Yeah, and that's really, we've talked about this for a while, and I know our happy hour group, shout out to them. We've been on this too, right? We're trying to time or figure out when this market is likely to come back in. Everything that goes up at some point must come down, but of course, remember that the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So trying to fight the trend, generally speaking, not a good idea. We'll see if we can pick up a move to the short side at some point. Don't think we're going to get that here today, but let's go ahead and see. All right, let's talk about some of the movers here, and then we can come back, take a look at stocks from the chat. I see GME has got some action here today. Wasn't on my list, but you know what, folks? If GME is moving, we'll talk about it. We'll check out the news. We'll check out the levels. We'll check it all out. Let's first start here with the movers here from today. The first one is a good one. When I woke up and I powered up my computer, and I opened up Pro and I looked at the movers, I was like, yes, once again, I'm going to have the opportunity to scream Banzai here today and make my neighbors think that I'm some sort of loon. But here we go. Ticker BNZI, Banzai International. Shares are trading higher after the company announced it's engaging with specialist MZ Group to lead a comprehensive strategic investors relation and financial communications program across all key markets. Okay, I'm not sure if you buy into this or whatever, but we are familiar with this trading vehicle. We know how it loves to pop. We know how it loves to knife, often to its VWAP to set up another trade. We actually see some evidence of that here this morning. So Banzai, ticker BNZI, definitely on the list here today. Nothing has really changed here. Still 1.3 million in the float. We're still doing good in terms of the actual volume here versus the average. There's been no splits or anything since the last time we've looked at this one. So really nothing new here. That last split, September 19th, a 1 for 50 reverse. That's really kind of what's driving this. So 13, what you got anything else here on Banzai? You excited to see this ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, so I wrote that down as BS news because that's just the way I'm looking at it. It's just another way to get this going again. And we already have all the metrics we need to know in order to understand why this moves. So depending on how the formations look, how it sets up for a trade, that's just going to be the only thing we're looking at. There's nothing really new to add to this. Just wait for those trades to set up.
Okay. Awesome. First of all, Mike, good morning. Ryan 13, I was at the Dodgers Mets game yesterday and I'm exhausted. Well, congrats to going to the game. Wow. If you're exhausted, I am sure that you'll fight through that here, Mike, but impressive for you to join us here. Crimp Biscuit saying, Ryan, heads up for what? Are you passing a biscuit over here? Because I definitely don't want to drop that. And one more thing here. Gerald said, this is a question. Are people still angry at Bud Light? Gerald, have you tasted it? Oh, fatality. Okay, sorry. All jokes aside here, Bud Light doesn't taste good, so it almost doesn't matter what's going on in the news cycle with that crappy beer. But that's just my opinion.
Good for drinking games.
Good for drinking games. Yeah, I'll take something that I can taste real quick. Here we go.
I saw that was kind of on there too. Yeah.
Hoth may hit your sophisticated scanning program here. Well, the scanner, it didn't see it on movers here today. I did see that it had something here today. It's not on movers because it's under $1. So it might actually venture its way into dollar territory. You know what? We can talk about Hoth too. Why don't we just do this next? It's not going to be on my movers list. Let's just get it out of the way. Crimp Biscuits all over it. Hoth Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company was awarded a U.S. patent for its HT-ALZ Alzheimer's treatment and announced plans to prepare for clinical trials to further validate its efficacy in humans. Okay, now we know all about this, right? There's been a number of different catalysts about Hoth. It has varying success, let's call it, and how it actually drives the price. Today, we're up just shy of 16% here. It's still a penny stock. We're right below the VWAP. Trade it if you will. This one's going. Do you have anything here on Hoth?
So they're saying they're going to start their clinical trial. So the first thing that comes to mind is, well, do they have the money for it? And they have about 9.6 million in the bank, and they lose roughly 1.6 million every quarter, maybe up to a little more than 2 million a quarter. So they have a cash runway, and this is just before they get the clinical trial started. So they are going to raise cash at some point. Their float is pretty small, so I would expect to see offerings ahead of any reverse splits. Don't know exactly when that's going to happen. That's something, if you're going to own or trade this, to watch for when they plan on starting those clinical trials, or if they intend to raise cash, which I believe they will later on. It may not be for phase one, but definitely it's going to be at some point, and it's going to be before they do any reverse splits.
Okay, there you go. That's Hoth Tua as vintage tool restorations. I just love it. I will, when you guys come with energy, it feeds me. Let's keep doing that. All right, next here on the list is going to be SGD, and would you look at this? This was not on the list when I prepared for the show here today, but we have a piece of news that is driving this. So let's take a look here real quick. Safe and Green Development shares are trading higher after the company announced that all site work has been completed for the first phase of its Sugar Phase 1 project in South Texas. Okay, so right away there, if you're not familiar with this, this is already going to require a little bit of looking into what any of this stuff means. What the hell is sugar phase one? I have no idea. But in any case, this PR is what's driving it here. Volume looks good. Had a really, really nice move. This stock closed at 397. Actually got bought up into the close a little bit yesterday. Makes me wonder if somebody knew this was coming. Big pop here today. We're kind of flirting with the 650 area on SGD. This is a micro float. I've got a float reading here, 569,000. Let's call it 570,000. On average, the stock trades just over 100,000 shares. Today, we've already traded 3 million. Stock's ripping here. Let's check the short interest. I would imagine that we had a recent split here because 97% of its float shorted. Seems like that's a miscalculation, to be quite honest with you. Let's take a look at the splits. Looks like October 8th. So we're only a week away from its 1-for-20 reverse split. That's why we don't have those updated short interest numbers. Still decent short interest here. Recent reverse split. Now we got a piece of news. Stock's trading higher. 13. You got anything on this one?
So this is a home builder, is what my understanding is.
It is a real estate development company that focuses on the development of sites using purpose-built, prefabricated modules built from both wood and steel, sourced in one of its factories. So yes, that's what it sounds like. Also seems like it has an eco angle.
Yeah. So just kind of looking into the news here, it looks like, to your point about somebody knew something ahead about this from October 9th. And I guess earlier this month as well, there's a lot of news about this particular site that they're referencing here today. Different news, but they're talking about it. So this is just kind of like a step-by-step thing that they're taking here, getting their business going. I don't really think I can comment much beyond that. Don't know enough about the company, but it's interesting. We'll have to take a look at it and see what this is about. If this is something that we're trading today, though, we can definitely look at levels. I know that Joey was asking about if we covered those price targets and levels yesterday, and I did briefly, but we can look at this one and do that if you want to try and see if we can get some levels for trading today in this one.
Okay, really quickly, Aura Alpha summed it up with just a couple of words.
AI
it sounds like AI houses, LOL. By the way, we had a pre-market pop yesterday. Popped us right to 692. Look at today. Popped us, I think, to 691. Not a coincidence there. That's definitely going to be one of the first key levels here. I'd love to see this build above VWAP, really kind of flag and then give us an opportunity here. Do you want me to move on with this one, or is there anything else that you that want to go into?
I really don't have an angle on this. I mean, I'd like to think this is maybe an AI housing, but I think if it were, they'd specifically say that. But anyway, we can either look at levels for this one, or we can move on to the next one and maybe draw some levels on whatever we're going to look at next.
Yeah, a couple of things here. Carmen is asking if these are storm resistant ones. Carmen, I haven't seen anything specific about that yet here. Company is,
I don't think so. And how they look.
Yeah, this marks the beginning of development in South Texas. I don't think so. Jay saying, I hope these homes can stand a 20-mile-per-hour wind. Yeah, me too. That would make a lot of sense.
You can go to the website and you can kind of get an idea of what these are supposed to look like.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that here in a sec. I do really quickly want to move through these. This is on deck here. I understand what's going on here with the PR. Really, with this double top, this gives me a pretty clear possible trade here, right? As long as this thing stays above VWAP and we continue some of that bullishness, great. Let's see if we can pop off that top end there. Yep.
Real quick, when I switch to an hour chart and look to the left for SGD, I can see that there was one day, the 27th of September, where we popped up to 780. So that's going to be one of my earliest price targets here. I want to see 780 get touched. We're going to continue this upside movement. It looks like we've come to top out at about 689, which was a high from this 30th of September. So we can break through that. 780 is the next one on deck that I want to see get taken out. So that'd be my next price target there.
Okay, so Fairchild here is saying it makes used homes from used containers. Those steel containers, those would definitely withstand a 20 mph wind. Sounds like there's probably a tiny house angle to this. and a tiny house, green angle, that would kind of all blend in here. So that's what's going on with SGD. Really good stuff there. Great job, team. Figuring out in real time what's going on there. Okay, so we've covered SGD, we've covered BNZI. Next here is going to be Wolf. That's WOLF. This is Wolfspeed. Wolfspeed shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed a non-binding preliminary memorandum of terms for up to $750 million in proposed direct funding under the CHIPS and Science Act. So getting some movement here based on the CHIPS Act. Stock's up 32% here. Stock closed at 11 and change yesterday, above 15 here today. That actually looks pretty good. Float reading here. Oops, I think I just screwed this up. Yep, sure did. Thank you, Windows, for your stupid shortcut that nobody wants. All right. Short interest looks pretty high here. Days to cover, not crazy, but percent of float shorted as of October 9th, 42% here. So maybe we have some type of squeeze action going on this. Company burns, holy smokes, company burns $239 million per quarter. They do have $1 billion on the balance sheet here. 13, what do you got on Wolfspeed?
Now they have another 750, so we can add that to the CHIPS funding. They do have a 92 million share float, and you know what I'm going to say about these. It could provide some pops throughout the day, but for the most part, being that it's going to be on the heavier side, we could see this leak throughout the day when the price action starts to wane. You know, but to Shaka's point here about having a flush before we get to go higher, I could see how that we would need something like that. Maybe we hit 1558, which is the pre-market high, before that happens. But I think that we do need to see some more downside ahead of going higher here, because it's been extended all morning. Okay, really good stuff there. I want to keep moving because we're running out of time here very, very quickly, and we still have more to go over. Next one on the movers list, IMRX. This is another one you should all be familiar with. We've traded this one a handful of times. Immuneering here. Immuneering shares are trading higher after the company announced it was granted FDA orphan drug designation status for IMM-1-104 for the treatment of pancreatic cancer. So one of its pancreatic cancer drugs getting FDA orphan drug approval. That's popping the stock here. 260, looks like we traded above. Came back to the VWAP here. Not breaking down. Volume in the pre-market looks good. I think as long as we get some type of volume in the regular session, this thing likely to be in play here today with the pancreatic drug news. What do you think on IMRX? Yeah, the FDA orphan drug designation, they award that to companies that have developed a specific treatment or drug for rare diseases, diseases that are affecting about 200,000 people or less. So that's where that comes from. 22 million shares in the float, a little bit thicker than we would like to have in the float. So it still seems like this could get some pretty good movement, but just keep the float in mind that it's a lot heavier than we're normally used to trading. We may not get all the breakouts, if there are any, that we're looking for in this one. And let's take a look at the chart right now. It looks like it's setting up to try and do one such breakout right now. 265 is the pre-market high there. So if we get this volume expansion to continue in pre-market, we might be able to take that out. But I think this is something that I'd want to wait and see what it does at the open.
Okay. Real good there. Not a whole lot on the balance sheet. Wiss says I smell offering. Looks like they do have a number of quarters worth of runway, but I still wouldn't take the offering possibility off the table there. IMRX. Okay. I'm actually going to skip over fun for right now. I'll come right back to it because that is related to ticker DJT, which is going to be next on the list here. DJT has been a really good mover for us recently. You take a look at the hourly chart here. This thing has been an absolute monster from 12 handle. This was back on the end of September. Here we are, 32.5. The stock continues to trade up here. We talk about this being a very difficult one to hold overnight. I maintain that that's the case, but if you did hold it overnight, you were blessed here with a PR this morning. Trump Media and Technology Group shares are trading higher after Donald Trump launched his cryptocurrency WLFI and the related project World Liberty Financial. The stock gained on Monday as traders assessed his victory chances after betting odds shifted in his favor. So this why is it moving is telling you two things here. Number one, there's a new crypto project. Trump is viewed as the more crypto-friendly candidate. He's made that a part of his platform. And then you're also getting some news here that polls have shifted in his favor, and that is actually across all of the swing states. Now, I don't know if that's actually what's driving this here. That is actually going on. I'm skeptical on what that does for the actual equity itself here. But with this other piece of news here, DJT seems to be in play. Looking at this, 34 seems to be the pre-market high. It's actually battling the VWAP right now. Would love to see this hold 32 and then cross through that VWAP that's at about 32.75. So DJT, that's what I got here. 13, you got anything else you could add to this?
Just levels. Looking at this, because I put a lot of levels on this before because we were trading it earlier this year. So the level that's currently getting resistance at right now, I have at 33.50. We get past that and break out of, I think Lynn and Randy even mentioned it, 34. There you go. So we get past that. We're definitely looking at 34 and probably breaking over that. If we get through that, the next upside target I have is 36.45. That can give you levels all the way up to the 50s if you want, but I don't think that you want to hear all those. But 36.45 would be the next target I have that's going to break over these pre-market highs here, that being 34.39. We get past that, we're looking at, I think, 36.45. Now to the downside, we start losing ground. Got you there as well. $30 is the my support level. We start breaking down with that. There's a consolidation 100%. Channel between $30 and $29 that could provide support. So I would expect somewhere between there to help catch a falling knife or a price or anything that's coming down to that level.
Okay, really good stuff there, DJT. One more thing, Jay Rice here saying it's an election move. Jay,
sure.
I wouldn't. Yep, sure. I wouldn't put it past it. It's just hard for me to kind of monitor that, so I try to keep it to things that I can actually feel good about. But you're right. It might be. We'll see. Okay. Other movers that we don't necessarily need to cover, but that are gapping up here today. MBOT, this is doing it on some light volume. I think we've traded this before. This might go back to penny territory, so we'll see. Also, Saidu, we've talked about this one. This had a PR here. Saidu Space Shares trading higher after the company received FCC approval for its remote sensing satellite micro constellation license. This had a kind of a rough pre-market, been very weak, used the VWAP as resistance. So we'll see if this turns around, but that's basically what's going on here on Saidu. Also, really quickly wanted to mention drug.
Yep.
This really traded up yesterday at the close, had a pretty decent after hours as well. I didn't see anything on this. So
yeah,
it sure looks like this is just a relative value move here today.
There's drug, there's Oklo that also
now Oklo is news. So this also moved yesterday. We got news here in the afternoon. This is actually holding higher here. I'm glad you reminded me about this one here. We got news. Oklo shares trading higher. Some nuclear stocks gained after Google said it would purchase nuclear power from Kairos Power, a modular reactor developer. So that news came in the afternoon. That ignited a lot of these nuclear stocks. You could also go SMR. I know NNE didn't really respond to this. So there's a number of different energy stocks. Oklo, the big one. Also, Oklo had short interest. We don't see the percentage of float shorted here because we don't have a float reading, but you can see the actual raw short interest data, and this has been doing nothing but increasing. So although we don't have a short percent of float, please understand that the short interest has been building in Oklo. 2 days to cover. Stock had really good news yesterday, popped. This does have squeeze potential. I don't want to promise anything, but it does have squeeze potential. That's what's going on here today.
One last one to mention. UAVS did a 1-for-50 reverse split that completed today. So they are something I'm going to be keeping, not necessarily watching, but keeping an eye on just to see if we get any movement after that reverse split. This is a drone play. Also seeing some questions about WBA and their store closures. Personally, I think being down here and closing stores and trying to improve their business, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. If they're closing stores that are net lossing, then I think that's a better move than to keep them open and operating at a loss. So they're going to probably close the stores that are not generating enough revenue and generating enough income. This is, if they're going through a big business restructuring, that may be a good thing. So I think WBA might be turning around here, but let's wait for some confirmation. And then there was one more stock that people were asking about. I think it may have been UNH. Yeah, so UNH, we were looking at that yesterday because that one had been on a huge tear. And now it's kind of coming back in. I think they lowered their guidance. Yeah, their annual EPS outlook is lowered. They had already been on a huge run too, so this was always going to be at risk of selling off a little bit, and that's what we're getting here today. So at some point this will be a good buy, but just let it sell off, let it do its thing. I think there's also that hack that is affecting it as well from earlier this year. So there's that as well. It's beneath the trend line, but we're about to open, so let's focus.
Yeah, and real quick, RCAT, I know this was getting a lot of talk in the chat. We got a lot of people that actually cover this. Carmen's going off here with a bunch of information. RCAT wins a $1 million contract from the FlightWave Edge 130 Blues. That's popping it. RCAT up 7% here in the pre-market. Carmen, I appreciate this. CEO said that on the last earnings, this was going to be an exciting quarter, not just because of the contracts, but because of all of the deals in the pipeline. So there you go. RCAT getting started here.
And here we go. Markets
love that meme from the Joker. Just love it.
And here we go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, so what's moving out of the gate here? GJT going down. SGD. This one looks like it's trying to push up to that 687, getting support from VWAP. And here it looks like we go with SGD, trying to really move up to 687 there, but having a little bit of a struggle.
DBGI penny stock here. This looks like this is falling out of the gate.
Yeah,
GME, sorry, I said I'd cover this here. GME spiked in the pre-market. I don't see any. Okay, so we did have a PR here. GameStop announces a collaboration with PSA. GameStop to become an authorized professional sports authenticator division dealer. PSA to provide authentication and grading services for trading cards through select GameStop stores. Interesting. So this is going to be a brick and mortar spot where you can get cards graded. That is interesting. I don't know what that means for the stock, but that's interesting and kind of changes what they do there, doesn't it?
Who's going to grade them? I have too many questions. Who's going to grade them?
Probably the same people that grade the condition of the video games you're trading in.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
I don't. That's a joke.
I would stay as far away as possible. Okay, so Wolf just made it. Just broke the pre-market high, and it's going some more still.
Apple, by the way, I know comp shortened this one, comp all over this. Apple down to the VWAP, actually tried to find some support at that VWAP, snapped it, and is trying to move lower here now on Apple. So decent short out of the gate here on Apple.
BNZI lower out of the open, trying to get some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. SGD still trying to push into that 687 pre-market high. DJT shook out some weak hands. It's trying to go higher, recapturing VWAP. And what else do we got?
Oklo sold off out of the open. DJT definitely seems a little bit wild here. Might
be getting some upside here in IMRX. Oh, nope, just went back down beneath VWAP. I'm sorry, pre-market high for IMRX is 265. Yeah.
DJT really pulling off of the open here.
Wolf ripping. And I do mean
Wolf ripping. Let me put Wolf on here. Here we go on Wolf.
All right, SGD pulled, trying to get support from VWAP. DJT lower.
Drug. This is another one that we talked about. This is actually still under the VWAP. Walgreens Boots Alliance, big pop out of the open here. Who was it that was talking about Walgreens either yesterday or last week? Maybe both. Was that Clayton?
I
Rivian guy? Someone in here was mentioning Walgreens. I had said I didn't really like where the chart is, and of course I'm made to look like a moron as they report great earnings here. It was Lion Atlas. Okay. There we go. Well done, yes, Lion.
That was yeah. So when we were looking at that one yesterday, that one was so beaten up. We were like, earnings could be good. And the news of closing on the stores, I think it's like 1,200 over 3 years. That's gonna change things.
Okay, Lion here saying I bought it last week. Okay, well, that was a really timely buy. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Judge. Sorry about our fantasy matchup. You called it yesterday, though. Breece Hall getting it done. You were absolutely right. I was skeptical. You were right.
All right, drug trying to push back up here. This one has a lot of sideways consolidation, so it may be a bit of time before this works its way through that. and it's got to get up into the 3 handle before it's starting to get out of it. BNZI now at that 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Let's see if it gets support. If not, that's probably going down to lower 4 handle, maybe around the 430s.
Real quick comp. I know you had mentioned both of these trades in the pre-market, or before the market actually opened here. Goldman Sachs, another pretty decent short. They had really good earnings and popped here. Coming in off of that earnings, this actually might be buyable at some point. Which one were you looking at there? 13. I'm sorry. IMRX, I think, was the one.
Either that one or Wolf or no. I think I just mentioned BNZI because that was testing its 200 EMA. And then exactly, Line Atlas shutting down the stores that are not making money, so they don't have that the costs associated with keeping the store open. So I think this is going to be closing those stores is going to be a very good thing for them in the long run. All right. So waiting for some of these stocks to do stuff. Looks like
DJT might be bouncing. Watch for that to get that back to VWAP. We'll see here. I tell you, this one's always really difficult for me because it just seems completely wild. Tesla short staged. Okay, so comp. So this one not initiated yet. I'd be curious, what are you determining your short entry on? This does look like this is at the highs here from Friday, after we fell off from that event. So you are kind of at a spot here. Are you initiating a short here? 223.5, it looks like. Here you go on Tesla. This bounced strong here this morning.
Oh, Market Sniper, you're still on the caviar play. You're right. 506 is the pre-market high in that one, trying to work its way up there.
Did we talk about that caviar play on Friday? I feel like
TWG. This is the one we traded. Yeah, we traded this one. Last week.
Yeah. That was Friday. That was okay. I'm trying to get my days straight here. Trying to get my days straight. That's all.
Doesn't look like anything that we've really talked about this morning is having a good open.
No, DJT here back to VWAP. Careful with this right there, though. We really want that to get above VWAP and build. I'm not even sure that's going to happen here. Dip and move back here on DJT. I would expect something similar on Fun. Looks like Fun was a little bit more juice to the upside. Drug here also at VWAP, so maybe we get a potential trade here on Drug. Remember, this is a relative volume play from yesterday. Drug actually going above the VWAP now.
$3, big wall.
Smoke Tuna, good morning. Bonjour. Smoke Tuna saying BNZI 450 might support it. And we're at 454 right here. GS short better than expected. Indeed, that continues to go. And I think that you were answering my question earlier, weren't you, Comp? Failure mode on the declining 100 moving average. I'm curious to know what time frame that is. I'm assuming the day. Low probability breakout, too obvious at 225. Okay, so you're saying that it's the probability of breaking out right from where it stopped is low, I'm gathering. Good stuff there. Wellness Matters, just opening up a can of salt, I think, and pouring it on the wound here because I, of course, went against Dennis. Oh, look at this. So, okay, so let's be fair. When we talked about this on Premier, what?
SGD.
Okay, I'm gonna get to that real quick here. Let's be fair though. I want to take mea culpa here because I did say that 110 was going to be the stop here. I do expect ELF to maybe break 100, go to that 95. Dennis was absolutely right on his timing. He got this one. He said he was still long, so I'm curious to know what he's doing. ELF sinking here, but this already invalidated my trade thesis. I was wrong. Dennis was right, and Jay Rice is keeping score. Maybe I was just a day late here. Maybe it just got shaken from my trade idea there. Okay, let's take a look at SGD here. Really good call 13 because I think your call was very timely with this push away from the VWAP here. Looks like we ran into some resistance at 662.
Drug with the breakout at 3 coming soon.
13
Sorry, I'm moving so fast.
Yeah, 13 is moving so fast that he's not even waiting for me to catch up. He's like, Ryan, you're way too slow. I got things to do. Get out of the way. Drug going higher here now.
Yeah, it was just like knocking on the door at 3, getting through that wall, and it just pushed through. Hell yes, brother.
DJT did go through that VWAP. Now it's actually back testing it. This might be decent.
Knocking on the door of 33.50 again. Let's see if it can break through this time. This will be the third attempt on the day. The first two came in pre-market.
Yeah, here we go. That snap to the VWAP. This is one of the things I'm worried about. This is what makes this ticker difficult for me to trade. GMPX penny stock. Sorry, go ahead.
SGD knifed, putting up those upper shadows there. Not looking good. Fell through VWAP and is looking like it's going lower. Lots of sell orders piling up at 555, and we're halted.
SGD here. Okay. That's to the downside. Yikes. Okay.
Meanwhile, drug ripping.
And GS completely retraced its earnings move here. And you were right on drug. Boy, this is a great call. Sorry, I'm moving too slow for you, 13. This is, in fact, you're going to get our first sound effect of the day here. Monster call. Look at drug go.
Hey, this is put on our radar by people in the chat. Looks like at 363, that's the level we want to get to, since that was the after hours high. I think we just barely touched it, a penny short. So we need to break through 363 in order to go higher, but it looks like we're getting some pullback at the moment.
So I'm asking one of my buddies here who is a fairly decent card collector, PSA to provide authentication and grading services, 13. PSA is the top grader out there. So it doesn't look like Tommy, the summer intern that's been grading N64 cartridges turn-ins is going to be doing the grading. Looks like they're actually going to get some of the top hands that on. That's, by the way, sorry, that's for ticker GME, whose news here today is that they're going to grade cards.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious about how that's all going to work. So they're going to have somebody from PSA in every store full time. I don't get how that's supposed to work. But
well, first of all,
I'm skeptical.
The PR said that the grading is only going to be in select GME stores. So I would imagine that there's going to be some type of rollout plan here. But I will say, I don't, here's the thing I don't know. I got one buddy that's pretty into this. I've got one buddy that's pretty into card collecting that knows his stuff. I'm interested in getting a couple of autographed cards because I think they look cool nowadays. And frankly, my football team has a rookie that's going to end up being insanely good over the course of his career. So I'd like to have something there, but I don't really know a whole lot about this field. And I don't know what kind of market this represents. So I don't know how this changes the TAM of GME. Thus, I'm just not sure how to necessarily trade this information. Clearly, it's moving the stock now. We'll take a look here at drug when this gets unhalted. GME here still holding at the VWAP. We'll see if this goes higher.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these were popping this morning or coming back in. Wolf came back in. IMRX came really in. BNZI, same thing, came in. We have to wait and see what happens with SGD. That one knifed into a halt. Probably ends up going lower.
Really quickly, comp. I know that you were shorting Apple earlier. My goodness, was your timing good on that? I got to ask you, with this kind of dipping and then ripping here, do you have any reshort levels for Apple here today, or does this strength kind of, does this strength kind of negate the day trade short thesis that you had earlier? Again, I'm gonna give you a register ring and a 1-up for your first short. That was really well done. Okay, so you're saying you're shorting right here, 235. Geo here saying mega short on DJT with a $5 price target. I'll tell you what, you get that short here, that'll be the trade of the year, Geo. Good luck on that one.
What's your time horizon on that?
Yeah, I'd be curious too.
I mean, I don't say it can't happen. I don't think there's really anything fundamentally great about Truth Social, but $5, that's a very long way to fall.
That's a huge, that's a huge move down.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just curious what the time horizon is on that.
So comp here saying 3 top level failure made high algo fake out. Okay, not sure exactly what you mean by that, but okay. It does look like Apple's kind of slowing down up here. Sure looks like 236 is rejecting it. Zabev is answering for him, says November 6th is his time. That's actually pretty good.
That's a good joke.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, IMRX here from the list earlier. Look at that. That thing just fell away from VWAP. No trade
Yep.
there. IMRX.
Although it is looking like it's trying to find a bottom here. We'll see if this turns around. Just be careful with this one. Wolf also has come in as well, losing VWAP. If this continues to go down, I think you might see some support between 1420 and 1375. And DJT is putting in some upper shadows here on these first three candles, so there could be some downside pretty soon here.
Fun moving with that fun back to its VWAP here. Still up. SGD resumed as soon as I clicked off of it. It resumed. Lower we go here. SJD. Remember the SGD. Excuse me. Remember this halted into the downside move. We'll see if this bounces here, but this one open here. We're expecting drug shortly after this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think with SGD, if there's going to be some support, if it continues to trade down from here, might be between 510 and 495.
Bitcoin ripping to the highs here. Jay Rice saying Larry Fink very positive on Bitcoin. Oh my, have times wasn't he a bear on Bitcoin years ago? Now coming back to the fold. Glad to have you, Larry Fink. 66,750 on the futures on Bitcoin. That is a morning high here, and it's on volume.
We're probably going to get an unhalt from drug pretty soon here.
I'm going to queue it up. I'm queuing it up.
They halted shortly after SGD did, so
yep.
Should be unhalting here pretty shortly.
Pretty shortly. Let's go. Market Sniper, you're the first one I think to mention this. If someone else mentioned it, I'm sorry I didn't catch it. I'm interested in this. Watching that Bitcoin doc on Max, it's pretty interesting. Is this the one where they said they figured out who Satoshi is? I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. It was.
Did you watch that, 13? Is it good?
No, I
is
didn't.
It worth?
I didn't watch it, but that's what you're referring to. I remember hearing about that. And great mention on Hollow. This is starting to get some more movement. Let's see if we can get to 575 or 10 cents away.
You're kidding on Hollow. Do I take away from? Do we do the same thing? It just happened on SGD. I'll move away from drug. It's open. Never mind. Here we go. Drug is trying to go higher here. We'll see. It looked like sold a little initially. There it is. New highs here. By the way, we're officially at a spot now. Whoever traded drug, you guys got it done here today. Please make sure that this doesn't come back in. At least pay yourself partly.
There's 4. Looks like it's going to try and push higher into 4. Or at least, I do mean try. There's a lot of resistance coming into play here.
Yeah. I'll come back to this. We'll see if it sets up. Grats to anyone that was trading that one. That was a monster call. Actually, shout out to Lynn and Randy, who mentioned that drug is going to be in play yesterday on Happy Hour. During the after-hour session, saw the move, called it out, added it to the watch list here today. Now it worked. Lynn and Randy, really good stuff there. Also, Scapegoat mentioning NVIDIA's knifing here. NVIDIA right to the pre-market lows. I do notice that the SPY's down here a little. How's the NASDAQ looking? Looks like this is a little bit weak, but not really rolling over on the NASDAQ. Doesn't look all that bad here yet. Yacht insurance guy from Florida sold way too early. You're booking gains, though, right? You're booking gains?
Here we
You're
go.
Good, dude. If you're booking gains, you're doing good.
Broke through 570 or 370. Yeah, I'm sorry, 575 on Hollow. This keeps going, looking like 680 might be next, but I also like 725.
Ooh. You guys are mentioning Palantir is selling off. Well, you know what? It can't go straight up. It should. Yeah. 4350 looks to be that kind of rejection here. If we take a look at the daily chart, this not even terrible. Honestly, if this holds 42.5 and just kind of trades sideways, I think you're completely fine in this one. I'm okay with, but look, especially even talking personally for my butterfly here, I got time, man. I got time. I got months, 2 months until those things expire. Let this thing trade sideways. Palantir has been an absolute ripper for this chat here. We've been talking about this since the high 20s, and this thing has done nothing but trade up. So grats to everybody involved here. Palantir.
No, Lynn and Randy, this is what I was talking about with Hollow, that there's a bigger move coming later. This could be it today. Because we talked about how these reverse
Hollow, YOLO, Jolo, bro.
We talked about how these reverse splits, most times they don't make any movement the day that they do it. it's usually like a week or later when this happens. So here we are later on. Don't know if this is going to be the big move we get out of it, but there could be more upside here today. We just opened with the market, so give this some time. We're looking at 680 as the next upside target if we can get over, if we can get back into the 6 handle, and then after that 725. Drug still ripping? Jeez.
Drug is actually beneath 4 here. It kind of got some of these top wicks here. Comp, is this what you were talking about those top time frame rejections, whatever language you used in here? Are you basically giving us a technical term for wicks when the momentum move to the upside kind of slows down, and that's your cue to maybe enter short? I know you're not shorting drug. You're talking about the bigger stocks, which is smart, but I'm just trying to understand what you're looking at in real time. Yes. Okay, perfect. So you're basically looking at when the stock actually starts to show waning momentum. And then you're trying to time your short there. Good stuff there. Good stuff there.
You can go to the drugs daily chart and then just kind of like put your cursor so it has that horizontal line over where the top of the high of the day is. And you look to the left, you can see where, why we're kind of bumping up against this area too. That's a previous support turned resistance area that we're at right now. So pretty important to get past that. We could see it get up into the 640, 650 area if we can chew through that.
July 2023 is when that area was put in there. Really good stuff, 13. ALCE, let's call this Alice. This nice little move here, low volume here, Tuna, but really good stuff. Clean energy, and actually this is trading up. That 3 spot looks important here, ALCE. ALCE. Let me just check and see what my other trading group is doing. Jay Rice, really quick question. Did you see that video of Caitlin Clark nearly losing her mind as she almost makes her first hole-in-one in golf? Did you see that video? Rather entertaining. All right, let's see what else everyone else tried. How about Walgreens Boots Alliance, ticker WBA?
Is that having a better morning?
Well, I'll tell you what. We had the obviously they had the pop from earnings. We had the impulse move, back test the VWAP, and higher we go here. Watch the volume on this one.
And yesterday when we looked at this, I was mentioning that 50-day SMA. We were touching it. We were trying to test it. Now we're above it. Now we're above the 50-day SMA. We get a couple more closes like this, we could be on our way to recovery. And there's a big gap to fill at in the high 12s. So let's see what happens with WBA. I mean, if we're getting a turnaround story here, this could be a real big one.
There you go, Jay. I threw that link there in the chat. Enjoy. Hopefully you can click on that. I'd quit basketball for golf too, but I'm biased. All right, let's get back down brass tacks here. Drug. Wow. Yep. So this is still
next
going
level
here.
Next level 450. There's a wall there to chew through.
So I should have played this one with you out of the open. Got it.
Can't catch them all, dude. These are Pokemon.
Can't catch them all. They're Pokemon. CLSK. Lynn and Randy, appreciate this mention a lot. We're just to kind of pull the cover back here. We've talked a lot about CLSK on this program and how this moves with Bitcoin. Bitcoin still ramping, by the way, 67,500 on the futures. CLSK going along with it. One of the things I told Lynn and Randy yesterday is that I underestimated this stock. There were plenty of really good setups that we could have traded on this, and I just didn't take it. And I'm kind of kicking myself, especially watching this trade recently. This has been pretty good, getting another move here today, Lynn and Randy.
Drug 491, the new high now.
This thing going to break above 5? I mean, I got to think at some point here this slows down.
Yeah, I mean, and you look to the left on the daily chart, you can see that we're really in an area where there's a lot of consolidation, a lot of previous price action. I think that there's going to be some cooling here pretty soon. That's just my expectation. We'll have to wait and see if we get that. Glenn mentioning IBIT.
IBIT, that's one we've traded before. I don't see that necessary. Oh, you know what? Hang on. Let me check Coin here. Coin also ripping another one of those really, really good Bitcoin stocks. Okay, let's take a look at IBIT. This is also Bitcoin related. This is the Bitcoin Trust.
Yeah, this trade's a little thin.
Yeah, big rip here today.
I mean, this is it's got a silver cross back on October 2nd, and it's we're moving higher. I want to see this take out 40. That'd be good.
Wiss here calling Lippo about to go. That's going to be a penny stock. Carved out a pretty decent range here on LIPO.
Also, SGD, that is halted again to the downside. This is not going to be something that anybody really wants to touch, probably until it gets maybe down beneath 4, if you're even going to trade it at all.
I'll be honest, I am extremely glad I didn't try trading SGD here today. Just kind of looking at this formation, I probably would have tried, held for a break higher, which never came, and then added on the VWAP, which just broke down multiple times. Glad I stayed away from this one.
Another one that you may want to consider not trading anymore for the time being, because it's kind of getting a birthday cake formation here, is DJT. A lot
let's take a look. What's the birthday cake formation? That's a new one for me.
We talked. No, it's not.
Oh, the candles. No, you're right. The candles. The candles. Yep. Nope. Got it. It just took me a sec there.
That's a live trading exclusive. I don't think anybody calls it a birthday cake.
Okay. We have a live. Yeah, let's go. We have a live intraday formation called the birthday cake, where there's all these candles to the upside, generally shows weakness. Okay. I like it. I like it. Pets, for you little guys, someone has been hitting the calls on this name. Doesn't trade a lot. Yesterday, 1,000 of the deck 750 calls were bought. Today, a bunch of the March 750s. That's going to be PETZ? Or is that actually Pets? PETS. Pet Med Express. I beg your pardon. PETS. Interesting. So you're saying that the 750 calls in here going into next year.
Glenn, you're looking at DJT going to its 200. It kind of tapped that this morning in pre-market, and I get you. It hasn't done it in the regular session, and if it does, it doesn't have very long to go. I mean, it's at 34.09. We were up there in pre-market twice. I could see that happening, and then that would be like the triple top, and it comes back in.
DJT, Glenn here saying that this is going to its 200-day. I tend to believe him. I tend to believe him. I don't think that the strength is done until we touch that 34.
No, but I like the next comment. After the show's over, then it does it.
Yeah. Well, I think he means after we're not trading it, but point taken either way, frankly.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's still possible, and when it does do that, then I'd be very, very careful about it coming back in.
Jay, I'm kind of curious on this Pets. I mean, I feel like those calls are so cheap. It might be worth it just to take 20 or 30 of them and just see what happens. I don't know. Pets, PETS. Appreciate the option flow lookout. You know what? And I have to remind myself. I gotta go through my layout here and save some stuff. I think
looks like drug finally getting a bit of pullback now after hitting 496, coming back down towards VWAP.
Let me bring drug up here. INHD. I don't know what that is, but that's moving. Here's drug.
Wolf also getting support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Incidentally, this is also an area where there's significant pre-market consolidation, so it's likely falling into a demand zone, and that's why we're getting a bit of a lift here. Want to see it recapture VWAP, which is I currently have at 1487.
Jay, you're doing really good on the pet 2.5s. Man, that 185 ask, you got to be up on those, don't you? Looks pretty good.
Good morning, Motion. We've been looking at drug, DUG, BNZI, Wolf, IMRX, and
DJT,
SGD, and Hollow also making a comeback here. But
Hollow YOLO Jolo. You know, Wolf here, this is actually curling. This is not terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Hassan, look at BTC. Look at this thing. Just look at it.
It's just a monster rip here, BTC.
Yep. So we broke through 65K. Next target is be 69K.
Getting a story here that GlaxoSmithKline suing Moderna over the COVID vaccine. Yep. GlaxoSmithKline sues Moderna for a U.S. patent infringement over mRNA technology and COVID-19 vaccine. That just came a couple of seconds ago. GlaxoSmithKline down 0.25% here, or excuse me, Moderna down 0.25% here. Not sure it's reacting to that. We'll take a look at GlaxoSmithKline.
Look at SGD.
Higher a little.
It's halted again, but it's almost exactly back to,
I mean, look at this round trip. I'm so glad I didn't trade this today. I'm so glad I didn't trade this today.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be some support coming pretty soon. Just be careful if you're going to trade this. There might be a brief bounce, but I don't want anybody getting trapped in this thing. Looks like DJT trying to push up into that 34, that 200 SMA.
Market, that was 34.02, so still another 80 cents from where we're at. Market actually looks a little shaky here. We've got the Dow's already kind of pulled considerably. It's lower. The Qs look like they're starting to roll over. SPY is pulling as we speak, so let's see if we have any type of down move here. I'd be curious, what level do you folks think the buy the dippers come in at on this? 584 looks to be the next test here. See if we can get down to 582.5. Just curious what you folks think on that. Wolf still might be curling. Drug might be coming back to its VWAP.
Yeah, for SPY, where the buy the dippers are, I'd say at the earliest 580, at the latest 575.
SoFi going higher here. SoFi had a pretty decent day yesterday. More continuation here today on SoFi. Looking at the daily chart, we are clearly at a resistance area, but I actually think this can fall here. SoFi been real strong recently. How are those bank earnings? Wow, Goldman Sachs went lower.
Oh, it was extended.
Well, I mean, it just look at look at this intraday chart. So we had the earnings, huge move up to 540. We've retraced the entire move. Look what that did on the daily. Gave us kind of a nasty looking candle up there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a monthly chart of that stock, it's just like, well, it does look like it needs to come in. Or not, look at it monthly.
Florida Yacht Insurance guy, bag held SoFi for a couple of months, finally sold it yesterday at a profit. Get that monkey off your back and toss his ass back into the jungle, Florida Yacht Insurance guy. That is awesome. I love that. When you've got a bag, especially if it's a bag that's like a year old and the thing comes back and lets you exit for a gain, that's just like chef's kiss. I can't believe I wasted so much time holding this piece of junk.
Getting a mention from River, Charles Schwab. Nice gap fill, wasn't it? Let me see here.
Yeah, now Charles Schwab, that's going to be ticker SCHW. They had earnings this morning.
Yeah, they did. I don't know if I'd say that that's a gap fill. That's like more of a gap creation. This thing just exploded over its 200-day SMA. And
no, he's right, dude. This filled the gap to that Monday, July 15th, bottom of the candle, had that area 73.5. It filled it earlier.
I see that. But we also created another gap.
I see. You created another gap here, so maybe we're going to gap back down. Gaps all around here.
Yeah, this thing is turning into Swiss cheese. So that's, I mean, it could, retrace back down to maybe 70 and find support there. That would be filling the gap to the downside. Not the one that just made, but the one that you were talking about from July. That would fill the gap to the downside. So look for about 70, 75 for some support. And if not, then of course we have the 200-day SMA down there as well. But I'm
going to go back to drug here, guys. Don't worry. But real quickly here, CLSK, there is some resistance on this consolidation area. That's up to about 12.5 on CLSK. So that might be your upside target here today. Let's go back to drug. It sounds like that's doing the thing here. This is actually just flagging. This might give us another opportunity here on drug.
I think it just might. Volume needs to, still maintain this, this level here. Otherwise, if we start seeing it come back in, we're going to lose VWAP.
DJT at a triple top, intraday pre-market triple top here, still shy of that 200-day. Could be a trade in here if this pops it. I think it probably tests 34 and maybe turns around there. Ticker DJT.
And
Eli Lilly going lower. We got news that they might reconsider that compounding ruling that they've had recently, right? And so I guess I'm not surprised to see Eli Lilly a little bit lower on this. I don't know if it's time to short this yet, but we might be topping out here on the daily chart, ticker LLY. Smoke Tuna here, sold my bag of Carvana that I was holding for 1 year. I sold it at 17. Now it's almost at 200. This is what you're explaining. First of all, Tuna, I'm sorry that this happened to you. You do such a good job calling different levels for our group here. I'm sure you've made so many people money. I'm sorry that this happened. What I will say is this is one of the hardest things to get over in trading. At least it is for me. When you have a thesis and then the stock just absolutely pounds you and then you get it back, your patience allows you to get your lost money can always be found. Okay. So you find the money that you lost. And then you get out of it and you think everything's good. And then you just watch it go and go and go and go. And it just makes you think to yourself, can I do this job? Do I have what it takes to do this? Because that is some of the most frustrating too. And I'd be curious to know how you deal with that. Or how anyone with experience deals with that. I'm sorry, 13, go ahead.
Just saying, it looks like Hollow might try to, the volume's really going away, so I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but it's looking like it's trying to push into 6 again.
This flag here, this shows me that there's still some strength here.
Yeah, and it looks like
Apple continuing to push higher on Apple. Holy cow, 237 now.
Looks like drug is setting up to push higher as well. And
Hollow needs volume.
Hollow does need volume. Yep. Setup's not bad, but it just needs volume. Now let's see what happens with drug. Drug also needs volume.
Bad axe. Great handle, by the way. Pour a double and check the numbers all over again. Yeah, you could do that too. Lion, I'm not sure why you're yelling. Take a deep breath.
I think drug overdosed and died.
Barat, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Barat saying, totally, Ryan. Great explanation. Had to get out when a stock moves like that after we sell. Carvana, GME, Palantir, Meta, so many. I'm telling you, man, it's one of those hardest things. It's just, you got it. Whoever suggested here, Dr. Manred, I take time off and journal my errors. Things like this, big moves like this, really important to understand what went wrong and why so that you could potentially avoid that in the future. Really good stuff here, group.
Going to mention that crowd is bull flagging. Smoke Tuna also mentioning BNZI might give a bounce, but it seems like it's done for the morning. It certainly looks like it's at the very least basing, but it still is potential for more downside. I can see how that's also the case.
Ryan, he's not yelling. He has a strong voice. Indeed, he does have. Lion is very strong-willed, strong voice. You're right.
He enunciates. IMRX, that one just came back and tested VWAP, looking like the MACD starting to curl as well. Maybe this one gets a second chance. Keep it on your list there. SGD is open, and man, this thing is down in the pre-market consolidation area. So let's see if this provides a demand zone for the buyers to step in. And
IMRX did try to close that gap to VWAP here. It's pulling a little bit, though. I don't see the strength here. I want to see the volume really kind of creep up there.
You have not heard yelling until you hear Jane Smith.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take her word for it and hopefully never hear that.
I don't want to be on the wrong side of that.
Me either. CLSK, let's see if we can come back into VWAP here, CLSK.
All right, so what are we all looking at right now? It seems like everything is just kind of making a decision on whether or not it's going to break down or reverse.
Oklo, so we sold off out of the open and came right back to VWAP. We're trying to go higher here on OKLO. Stellantis puts, more Stellantis puts. Wow. Repeat sweeps of Stellantis puts here, ticker STLA. Those are the October. No, those are the December, excuse me.
Opinions on Wolf. Looks like it was trying to break through 1465 right now. If we can recapture that, then there's a good chance it can recapture VWAP. We need to see it get back over. We need to see it get back over VWAP, and then we can talk about more upside. But until that happens, I don't think it's going to go much higher. Just needs to get that back across VWAP.
VWAP 1479. We're pretty much right there.
Yes, everybody. Oh, Wolf wants that VWAP. Everybody gets it. They wants that VWAP.
Drug. This came back in towards its VWAP. It's bouncing here on drug. Boy, we identified a couple more of them here today.
Yep.
Let me stop that alarm here real quick. One sec.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if drug continues to push up here, we might see a breakout over 5. Pets. Oh, that's for Ryan. Okay. Elf gave up all the gains from yesterday. Sometimes do be like that. What are you thinking about AMD after the news about a possible Middle East sales ban? Gosh. It's just AMD because I thought NVIDIA was approved. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work out. I really can't give a whole lot of color to that synthetic. I'm sorry, I can't provide you with more. Maybe Ryan has an opinion when he gets back. Let's see. Looking at drugs starting to move up again. Uh-oh. What are we getting from drug here? Are we pushing up or breaking down? What's going to happen, drug? Exited drug at 450. Nice. Chip export restriction, always a dip by our opportunity. Yeah, there you go, Ryan. We had a question here that I really didn't have a lot of opinion or thought on, but Synthetic was asking, what are you thinking about AMD after the news about possible MIDI sales ban?
Sorry, I was reading some breaking news there. Repeat that one more time and I'll answer it. Sorry.
Synthetic is asking, what are you thinking about AMD after the news about a possible Middle East sales ban?
I would imagine that if AMD's products are banned for sale anywhere, that is going to be a net negative. And right? Is that what you're asking me?
That's what Synthetic's asking.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that is absolutely a negative. You already have trouble with NVIDIA eating this company's lunch. Now you're telling me that their products are going to be banned for sale. In some, is that new news here? Is that something I'm missing?
I didn't see it, so it might be. I'm just kind of curious about if that's going to be something definitive or not, because it's still a possibility. But with NVIDIA not having a sales ban, I'd wonder why they're allowed and NVIDIA is not. I'm sorry, and AMD is not. That would be my concern.
I think this is what he's referring to here. U.S. mulls export caps on AI chips from NVIDIA and AMD to some nations.
Oh, okay. So is it not?
I don't know. I'm trying to go. Go off of. I had very little information as soon as I got back. I'm trying to go off of what you guys have.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of it either.
Elon here saying chip export restrictions always a dip buy opportunity. Okay.
Here we go with drug. That just popped. I got out of there, and now we're coming back into VWAP. That was,
this is okay. So Synthetic. Okay, so real quick here, we're talking about the export to the Middle East. We're talking about export caps on the Middle East. I don't know. Part of me wants to say that I'm not sure that this would affect one differently than the other, but I'm not sure about that. I think that this proportionately affects AMD more because they don't have the better chip. Like NVIDIA, I think, is a little bit insulated from this news, whereas AMD, this is probably hurts them a little bit more. That would be my knee-jerk reaction to that. Also affects Intel. You're right about that, Big Abees. How's Intel reacting to that, by the way?
I don't think Intel's, it's going to affect them, but I don't think it's going to be that big since Intel's kind of like the CHIPS Act darling at this point, it seems to me. I know that sounds weird with NVIDIA and other companies doing well, but they're getting handed this chips funding. So I think Intel's got a lot of positivity ahead of it.
The non-trade news that I was distracted at when I came back, Devontae Adams traded to the Jets.
Oh, no way. So Aaron
Right.
Rodgers got another
One of his homies coming
Yeah.
back home. Trade will be for a conditional 3rd-round pick that can go to a 2nd.
Let me ask you this. Whose decision do you think that was?
Coach Rodgers, man. Coach Rodgers. Okay, there's your sports news update with Ryan. Wolf, by the way, this is actually back at the VWAP. Watch for this to actually move above that VWAP.
Be careful with drug at this point. After it had that pull from the breaking out it was doing, that may have been a signal that there's going to be some more profit taking in this. Just be careful with drug here.
I'm watching Wolf here for a move through its VWAP. See if we get it. I'm going to try a little bit of this here. Move down to 1450. We'll probably just wait it out or stop there and wait it out. On track for a Subway series in New York, fellas. Look, now that, oh, wow, Q's, big red candle. Sorry, got distracted again there. Now that the Tigers have been eliminated, give me the New York versus New York series. I want to see the Dodgers lose and all of them cry, but then let's see a New York versus New York series. That'd be sweet. Wolf, little bit of a pull there away from the VWAP. This breaks down any more here. I think you can skip on that. Market Sniper wants clarification. Are you saying no to drugs, 13?
Am I saying no to drugs or just this stock?
Just the stock, actually. I guess I put my own spin on that. Sorry.
Well, like I said, it's, we didn't get that movement that we should have got that last 5-minute candle. So I'm thinking we could see some more selling in this. So that's why I'm saying be careful. If it pushes back up, then great. But I'm out of this now. I don't want to be in it right now, especially with how it looks like there's more sellers coming in. That's just me. Stop yelling. Who's yelling?
Yeah, nobody is. Nobody is.
The DJT, pretty close to a triple top. If we had hit that 200 SMA, that would have been great. That would have been a really good triple top. But we didn't get any higher.
Just shy of that, yeah.
33.86. So maybe it's there's still more upside to be had. We need to touch the 200 before it really comes back in.
So how are we looking with this Q pullback now? How are we looking in some? Okay, wow. NVIDIA 133. Okay, so NVIDIA, this is actually a 5-point move peak to trough here. 538, 138.5 down to 133.5. 5-point move there.
Don't worry, I'm not going to get all excited that we're finally seeing the downside in NVIDIA and the Qs. There's a long way to go before I'm going to even, say, oh, this is looking bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so crushed on attempts to short the Qs. There's going to be no victory laps at this point. Chicago Realtor saying, Ryan, good thing you covered your short on Nike. Smart move, boss. It just wasn't giving me the movement that I had hoped. I had a really good target. I had a really good plan. And it didn't really move. It's kind of just back and forth here. I mean, there might be another setup here at Nike. I still got 1.5 points out of it, but I was looking for 10. So I don't consider it a huge success.
Yeah, if Nike can continue to trade over the 50-day.
Wolf, by the way, Wolf's going. All right, here we go. Let me book some of these gains into that move above. There we go. All right. Sorry, we moved away from there. Put a trailer on. Oh, and there we pulled. Looking for 15. Stop at entry. Jay Pertz.
Looks like 1550.
Look at drug.
Oh, look at that.
Look at Jay Pertz. He's all over it.
All right. Now it's going to have to break into five. There we go. And that's going to get halted.
Wow, drug. So I was getting all excited about this little wolf pop, and meanwhile, drug went wild. Really good stuff there for anyone in the group trading drug. Looks like a couple of you were on it. Really, really good.
Yeah, they had more faith than I did, and they were rewarded.
Yeah.
Let's see here now.
Lions asking 13 and Ryan, any take on energy? Well, so energy is kind of in the news right now, right? The whole nuclear energy for AI stuff is in the news. We had oil move down yesterday. What? Say that again?
Yeah, I think he's specifically referring to oil, like the sector. In which case, if Israel's not going to attack Iran's oil infrastructure, then that's one of the reasons why we're seeing the downside. Because
that was the news that was it. That was the news that we got yesterday afternoon, is that they said they weren't going to attack the oil field. Oil sold off on that, down here 4.2% on that futures contract, about $70 here on oil. I think long term kind of bullish on it. Here's the thing though about energy. Like, I think some of these, that's a tough one. I think some of these oil plays are going to be good if Trump ends up winning. And then I also think there's another angle there with the whole nuclear thing for the AI power demands. It's tough to be bearish on energy. Jay, interesting. So Jay, you're taking the opposite end of that. Won't be good for oil names.
We kind of saw how that was the case back when he was president last time, and especially in 2020 when oil went negative.
Well, didn't that have to do with COVID?
Right. But at the same time, I think drillers might do okay, but there are some other, like maybe the retailers, not so much. So Jay, is it just all oil in general, the retailers, the drillers, the midstreams, or is there like specific sections of that sector that is going to do well and others not so much? What's your thought there? Drill, not good for them. Okay.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm glad we talked about that. I have no oil position, just to be clear. I have no oil position.
I think all of them except nuclear. And it's crazy because nuclear is so far out.
Yeah, but the prospects of it, what it can do, it just drives that trading action. Okay, I'm not seeing a whole lot of good setups here, folks.
Pianogenesis was asking, how do you know if those pullbacks and pops like drug are going to happen? Is it shorters closing their positions? That can be one facet of it. Short squeezing. But I don't think that's what we're looking at here. We were looking at technicals, and I think some other folks were looking at some other indicators as well. Maybe they were looking at options chains. But when you're looking at certain levels here, like for me, I was thinking this is going to lose VWAP, and it did a little bit, but it came right back and it got bought back up. For me, I was thinking this was going to break down because that pop that we got the 5-minute candle before was immediately sold off, and it started to lose VWAP. So I thought, okay, maybe I should stay away from this one. That wasn't the right move. The right move would have been just to stay patient. And
the way I would answer this one, P, I never know if they're going to pull back or pop, but I've seen it enough times where I try to play the odds. So like, for example, when drug was trading up here, I thought it might come back to VWAP, and it did. It did it over time, and then look, it popped again. The same thing is true really for any stock that really starts to get extended from its VWAP. Like even look at DJT here today. Both times in either direction, when it got too extended from its VWAP, it's had the propensity to come back in. Now the pop that you're talking about, that's what I monitor for. That is volume, right? Mm-hmm. And drug is a really good example of this. You can see on the big move that we had here this morning, the volume was just telling you that there's more room here. We talked about some of these wicks. The buying volume on the 1 minute was just like, nah, this is all green. When that alleviated, it started to come back in. The volume levels started to drop. And then when we actually got to this VWAP, look how the volume started to increase. You probably would not have been able, if you were watching just the volume stick, you probably would not have been able to buy this until about 450, meaning you wouldn't have got this awesome 430 price. But you can tell real easily when the volume starts to flow in here. Look at drug. Drug's open now, by the way. This is trying to go higher.
Yeah, pop the 585. Let's take a look and see what levels we can infer from next. I think I even mentioned the 640 or 650 area. That's the next level I'd be looking at, 645.
Motion and there is no try. Are you guys running a coordinated campaign here? Any position on P. Diddy oil?
Well,
actually, yes. Short Costco for the short term because he's no longer buying case after case after case since he's in effing prison.
So Johnson and Johnson having a pretty good day. They reported earnings. They were lower at the open, but they have since rocketed up. So seems like baby oil is still doing pretty well. That's Johnson and Johnson.
I wonder how they guided for the future.
Take care, Richard.
Fairchild, that's a slippery slope. Oh goodness, that's
I get
funny.
it. I get it. Yeah,
I get it too. Judge, take care of yourself.
Oh, words are fun.
Hey man, we out here having a good time. That's what we do. Just like Lion, we having a good time. Drug, by the way, this traded up to 6 here and kind of stopped. We'll see if Drug actually flags and goes higher here, if it comes back in.
623, not too far away from where I was just looking for it to peak out at short term. So still looking for 645, 650.
Bad Axe here. Just to be, I'm going to clear this up real quick. Bad Axe saying, lol, that was a deflection by his lawyer. Costco put out that they do not sell bulk baby oil. Okay, so first of all, Costco is my favorite store. I'm long, not short. Just to be clear about my position, I am long, not short. Second of all, was trying to kind of answer their question here with a joke. I am short all things Diddy. All things Diddy, all people that went to his house, I'm short it all. I think that the amount of stuff that is going to come out from this investigation, it might take a while, but the amount of people that are going to come forward and the amount of really horrific things you are going to hear about this is going to be appalling. And I don't want any part of it at all. I am short all of that stuff connected to Diddy.
It's probably going to be like even worse than Epstein.
I mean...
Okay, I think
I'm short it all. I'm short it all. I'm short it all.
Chicago Realtor asking WBA over 13% short, around 94 million shares. How many days do they have to cover? They have. I'm showing 50% of the float short at 4.42 days to cover. Pretty close to a solid candidate there. Oh, hey, look, Drug hit 645, the number I was looking for, and it's coming back in. Maybe this is it for it for the time being. Let's see. Still could push to 650, but I don't think there's a whole lot left. That was where I was the topping out looked when I looked to the left there. And what else we have going on? DJT, that came down to 31.25, it looks like. Trying to recapture VWAP. Jennifer Lopez is in big trouble. It's funny how they're getting filed for, or they're filing for divorce so soon after this. But anyway.
Yep. Just wait till they. I mean, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to start rumors here. I'm not going to. I'm going to try to be grown up here and not.
Time to short Hollywood.
Man, I've been holding that short for a while. All right.
Oh, good call, Lynn Williams. 10:30 reversal time. Watch out for Drug.
Well, so watch for this to come back in. There could be a number of stocks that move back in on this. No, JJ. Nope. Not going to do it.
Yeah, it looks like Drug is starting to, on a smaller time frame, starting to put in a bit of a birthday cake up here. But let's see what it does. Maybe it pushes. Okay, there we go. A little bit, another penny higher. It went. You're gonna get 650. Nope.
You're not trading this, are you? This seems.
Oh no, not up here. Absolutely not.
Up here.
Absolutely
It's not pulling back yet, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. Looking at the volume here, I mean, it's still elevated. This is just drugs. This is crazy.
Sometimes I just watch these things play out because you can literally see the fight between the bears and the bulls. It's National Geographic for stock. It's great.
DJT, I know we're kind of watching this Drug thing play out here, but DJT coming back up to its VWAP here. You could see a pop above this VWAP. Only 15 cents away or so.
Uh-oh. The drug's getting the issues, the reversal issues.
Bitcoin pulled back, so coin and CLSK moved with it.
Now, for those of you that are wondering how I came up with this price target of that 645 to 650, where we seem to currently be topping out at, and we could still push higher. But to get to that level that I was talking about previously, all I did was go to a larger time frame, like the daily, and I looked to the left to see where we had another big run up and peak. And you can see that on August 8th, we ran up to 644. That was the high, and we came right back in and ended up closing lower. So I'm going to look at 644 as a resistance
whole
area.
market pulling here. Sorry to interrupt, but the entire market is pulling. SPY, Qs, and Dow all moving lower off this.
Oh, beautiful. You'd love to see it, unless you're long. But yeah, so anyway, that's how I was getting that that level from. And this works all for a lot of different movers. You know, they're as clear as day, the short-term price targets. Tomorrow, if this goes higher, then that one's that one's done, and we look for the next one. And you could also infer that the next one might be 740. So that's how I get price targets usually. If not from there, it's going to be from EMAs that the price is moving up towards. So if I look at drug, the next EMA that it's got to move up to, I don't see any on the daily, but I do see one on the weekly, and that's going to be at 830. That's the 200 EMA on the weekly chart. Oh my God, Tom B, playing with the fire.
Like I said, just wait for it all to come out.
Oh, we just got to be. I mean, we just got to be strong here and just not get the stream in trouble.
Like I said, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I'm gonna let the pros do their job. See what happens.
You were down 10% on your IMRX, and what would we do?
Drug trying to go right here. Let's see if drug sets new. There it is. Bang, it is. New highs. Wow, that happened fast.
Give it to us.
Trim into that move.
740. That's the next one. So that okay. So here's where the rules that you make for yourselves are going to start to kick in. You're down 10% in IMRX. What's your total pain tolerance? Like, how much are you expecting to how far were you allowing this to go down before you've already decided that that's going to be where your loss is at?
And how long are you okay with tying that capital up? Like, do you need to get out of that 10% loss? Do you need that capital for something else? Sorry to butt in there.
Right. But no, it's totally fine. I think there's a chance that it still could end up trading up. But the thing is that you get 740 and higher. Jesus. But
this might halt here again.
You gotta make several considerations here with IMRX. Volume is not getting better. The only thing that's really got going for it is that the MACD potentially be curling, and there's a bit of a double bottom on the current chart. But with when I look at the EMAs bearing down on the next set of longer term EMAs, like the 9 coming down to 65, if that looks like it's starting to cross, we're going to see this stock go lower. So I think at this point you would have to make sure that you have your stop set so you don't get killed even more if this goes lower. And if you start to get a recovery, raise your stop. But I wouldn't say just jump out of this now, because I don't know what your trade plan is with this, but at least have the stop set so you don't you limit your loss.
Really good stuff there. 13 drug halted. This is the third halt. This to the upside halted here. 759 on drug. We'll see. Lion saying, Ryan, why are you worried? He's I'm not worried. I'm worried about saying too much stuff and just getting us all in trouble here, because I've got some thoughts on that, but no one asked for my opinion, so I'll keep it to myself. I'm not worried for myself, I'll tell you that much. I just don't like 13. You said it best. I don't want to get the stream in trouble. I don't want to get the stream in trouble. We'll wait. Big move down here in the market, continuing. NASDAQ leading the way down here, by the way. Biggest reversal and down the most at the moment. Sorry, 13.
No worries. And you know, everybody's with their opinions is fine. But for drug, let's look and see where we can get another price target for this. Maybe if it's going to continue to go higher. I'm really concerned about the price action between August and September of 2022. We pushed up, or we have a lot of trading during that time, and I don't know what this was from. I don't know what the catalyst was to send it up like this, but to me, it seems like $15 might be the next spot you want to consider taking profit if we continue to go up that high. There's also 12. I see 12.25 could be another spot as well. I'm trying to look for the earliest ones. Nope, we already hit 740. Let's consider 875 as the next one. That I'm drawing that from the candle on September 16th, 2022. Let's see if we get that. 875
on drug.
Yes.
I am one of my trader buddies here saying that the open indication on drug is 850. Oh, good Lord. All right, let's see what happens when it opens here. Let's see what happens when it opens here.
And
Lion, I think you're looking way too much into this, man. I think you're looking way too much into this.
No, we're not trying. Look, we're trying to keep a decent stream going.
Yeah, just take a deep breath, man. Everything is okay.
Those price targets are essentially ours. JJ, that's when I'm looking at
when drug opens here. NVIDIA 8 points peak to trough now today.
That's a really big move down. Do we
sure
have,
is.
I mean, is this just all on the chip?
I think it's got to be right, because you guys were asking about AMD also. Someone mentioned that, yeah, all of these charts look the same. How are some of these other? Look at Micron. Oh, mouse just jumped out of my hand right there. Come on now.
Get your cat on it.
Where is Buddy?
Chase that mouse down.
Well, I haven't heard him. I wonder if he's taking a nap somewhere. All of the chip names that I just pulled up here responding negatively to this. All of them.
Uh-oh. ASML news?
Well, no. It was it? They got earnings tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Wow. Booking numbers here on ASML.
That's like half the estimation.
Oh, where's Robert? Please, Robert, be okay.
Yeah. Q3 bookings, 2.63 billion euros estimated. If I'm reading this right, I guess they are getting the bookings of 2.63 billion, and their estimate was 5.39 billion, which is vastly underneath. You got, oh no, Robert. Are you did you make any profit, or are you red now? This is bad. I bet this is hurting a lot of other companies.
Yeah, this trading lower following guidance. I wonder what's going to happen with that earnings print now.
So ASML
tomorrow morning, man.
Down to the 500-day SMA. Just tapped it. Drug halt price now 840. I have it halted up here at 759.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the indication to open.
Oh,
Tuna, how do you get
gotcha.
that? How do you get that? Because one of my trader friends said the same thing. I don't know how to do that in my own software here. Like
It might be from the level I mentioned earlier. Hold on a second. I'll just bring it back up. Is it this one? No, that was the last one. Oh, okay. So I had 875 from November 16th, 2022, that candle.
Yeah, so that's the level. So I think it might be going to your level here. The question is going to be, I use level 2 from TradeZero. Okay, so TradeZero, awesome. That, by the way, check out the banner at the top here, sponsor. Lol. Anyway, that is telling you what the indication is, showing 850 bid, ask halt for drug, JJ. Okay, so your level 2 is showing you that there's an indication that there's bidders there at 850. We'll see what happens when drug opens here.
Yeah, drug can do whatever it wants.
This is due soon, isn't it? I feel like this is any moment on drug.
Should be.
Market's still pulling, by the way.
Is there something else going on that we're not seeing?
No, I think it's just reacting to that. I'll tell you what. And I actually just looked over here at ELF on another screen, ELF 107. So a 10-point move intraday here on ELF. Tell you what, Dennis's timing is not to be trifled with. My God, he timed that perfectly. 1 min to opening on drug. Here we go.
But is he buying more Tesla down here? I still think Tesla sees 200. That's kind of my spot right now for Tesla. That's me though.
Let's see what happens when drug opens. Now, drug is extended here, so I know we're talking about indications higher than where the current price is.
Yeah, these are all the levels I'm talking about. These are all levels where I'd be trimming or taking profit because I look at them as resistance levels. Or the price action went up to last time certainly could end up going up and reversing there as well. When we break through these, well, that's just icing on the cake, and we're just going to continue selling into the next upside target that we have. And that's just the way I would prefer to do it, so I'm not caught in anything.
Tesla does, in fact, look weak. Tesla has been weak here for a little bit. And now with this market pull, I would imagine it would continue that.
All right, so we should get an unhalting of drug here in just a few ticks.
Yep.
Took profits on DJT. Well done, Mike. What happened to Nvidia? Sorry, just reading the happy hour chat.
Oh, all good. All good. Yeah, we love this pullback too, Snoopy. We've been waiting for a pullback for some time now, so getting one would actually be pretty great.
Yeah, we'll see how well this works out for us, for the market. Bunch of retail names green. Okay.
Yep, DJT has come back in, called that one too.
Let me see here. I want to see what else we got. Well, you know, Line Atlas, I am having coffee. Did have a lot earlier to do today, but for the time being, I don't. So you're right there.
Every day is a good day to have coffee, if you ask me. Every single day. I'm going to be up early tomorrow to cut. Here we go. Drug open.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Drug. Here we go to tens. Drug. Are we going to halt again? 1020?
It should. I mean, with this kind of movement. Okay.
Oh, my heavens to Betsy.
So about that 15 something level that I said earlier.
I was just going to say 13. What is the next level? Because we really just got blown. I hope nobody here was shorting this. Because we're kind of joking around and kind of giddy and having a good time. I hope nobody shorted this thing. Oh my God. Talk about FOMO is right, Florida.
And here's the thing. What is this?
How many people got drugged?
But what is this moving on? Remember, this had no news.
Yeah, this is momentum.
$10.
This is halted. The stock's up 309%. Look, at this point now, please just be careful. Whatever you do, just be careful. This is not, if you don't already have an airtight plan, probably not the stock to start looking at given this move.
1225. That's the next one I have. Because we hit that 834 200 EMA on the weekly chart. We blew right through that. Next, maybe 1145. We have the 65 EMA on the monthly chart right there, and we're not. That's the next one to touch, ahead of the other ones I mentioned. So let's look at 1145.
Bank of America CEO is on CNBC at the moment right now. I guess he's talking about a stock, but he's likely also talking about the economy. I don't have the sound on. Talking about the debt markets right now.
Let's see here. Trying to see what's going up, what's going down. You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
IBM is up, whereas a lot of these other ones are down, like all the semis and Mag 7 and everything that has to do with the AI play. Seems like out of all the AI plays, IBM's still up.
Okay, real quick here, I want to address something in here. First of all, Britt, I appreciate you mentioning this. I actually missed the initial comment, but let's address something here because this is something that I have struggled with literally live on this show. Larry saying I sold drug at 457 and I made 20 cents. Okay, so on the surface, that was probably awesome. And looking at the price now, it's probably not awesome. I can't hold a trade for nothing. So we've talked about this before. You guys have seen me kind of do some of these scalps and these crummy stocks here. And you know, I'll do the same thing that Larry did. I'll hit it for 20 cents. The stock will go $2 and I'll be like, damn. So here's the thing that I would say, Larry, whatever your position size is, as long as you're not burning up multiple day trades trying to exit your position, try scaling out. First of all, if you're under the 25K threshold and you're trying to day trade just based around your 3 trades that you have, all in, all out, don't even look at what takes place. If you're just trying to like time stuff like that, like that's can really, really make that difficult. But if you're trying to actively do this, scaling out is your answer, right? When you get a pop like that, when you get that pop for 20 cents, sell 2/3 of your position and hold the last third. And that way, if you get a move like this, you know, yeah, you'll only have a third of your position, but bro, this moved $6 from where you sold. So if you're scaling out here, even if you have a very, very small chunk remaining, it's just going to add to your trade. So the best piece of advice I have, learn how to scale out of trades. That way, when you hit some of these that go absolutely ham, you'll still have a trailing piece. Because otherwise, if you're trying to time this type of move with your entire position, you're going to end up holding and start taking losses when the stock doesn't go parabolic like this.
Yeah, and I think Smoke Tuna really makes a good point here because this is not normal.
It's not. Absolutely. Tuna's 100% correct.
This happens, but it doesn't happen very often at all. I already sold before this move happened too because I thought this was going to end up going lower. And now look at us. Now look at where it's at. So,
yeah. Have a plan. Have a plan to get out. Yeah. Here's the thing. Like I said, especially when I was new, I would do this all the time. Like I'd literally be following people on Twitter. I'd be looking at the big movers and I'd be like, oh my God, how? And sure enough, every time a stock moves 300%, there's someone on X being like, selling this, I have 10K shares. And it's just like, and I start doing the math in my head. I'm like, 10K shares, stock moves $10. Like you're talking about like house buying money in one trade, not like multiple, like one. And it's like, kind of stay away from that, right? Kind of stay away from that. Think about how you can realistically attack these things. Like Smoke Tuna was saying, this happens once every 500 days. Even if that number is not accurate, whatever it is, it doesn't happen all the time. So you're going to have a plan that's going to keep you safe on the times where we're not watching a stock do this. Try not to get bent out of shape. If you made money on this today, you did a good job. That's what I'll leave it at. If you profited, you did a good job.
These are the SATs. You get hammered for being wrong. You get rewarded for being right. And if you do nothing, you still get rewarded.
You get rewarded if you do nothing on the SATs?
It doesn't count as a negative.
Even if you don't answer a question, they don't. Well, I wish I would have known that instead of just filling in those little bubbles at random.
What's going on, fellas? Good morning to you.
Zunade, what's going on, dude?
Whoa.
Doing well, doing well. How you guys been this morning?
We're flabbergasted, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting that you asked that question because I'm not sure how to answer it. We're doing well. We're doing well. We've had this drug stock ticker DRUG with no news have an unreal move here today. We're kind of discussing some of the psychological things around trading those.
Yeah,
We've had a good morning.
I'll give a quick anecdote before you guys go. I think the year was maybe 2019. I know I made it seem like it was going to be 1990s, but I made about $8,000 on Tesla. I was in New York, outside the Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange. Sold it. I was happy with it. Tesla ran up another $200, which means I would have made $200,000. I felt sad about it. I had FOMO. The next stock I got into was Disney. Bought it at 147. Pandemic area, whatever. Hold on to it because I had FOMO. I didn't want to miss out. Lost, 5 figures plus. So the point is, you're always going to miss trades. Get a piece of the pie. You don't have to worry about the whole slice and the whole caboodle itself. But any final thoughts before we get into all access?
Be careful. Protect your capital. That should be your first goal. We're going to be back here for Anne Marie after your all access.
I was going to ask about that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
13?
I confirmed with her this morning. So I'll be back here with Anne Marie.
Sounds good.
Hey, folks, we had a great day. Trade smart. Don't chase things. We had a great move in drug. If you're going to keep trading that, just be very careful. Just like how it moved up really quick, it could also move down just as quick. Be careful, and I'll see you tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Appreciate you guys. Awesome chat. We love to give you the technical analysis in terms of what is going on with the markets, but we also love to talk some fundamentals, and we love to talk to executives from publicly traded companies as well to see what's going on, not just in their industry, but also with their company. And today I have the pleasure to talk to Chia-Lin Simmons, who is the CEO of LogicMark, ticker on the NASDAQ is LGMK. All access starts right now. Chia-Lin, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. There's so much for us to talk about. We've had many different conversations in the past, but I'm excited to see what new things are coming up. But for the folks at home that might not be familiar with your company, can you give us a quick brief overview?
Sure. LogicMark has been around since 2006, and we have been actually actively serving in what folks have been calling the I fall in, I can't get up business, which is the medical alerts business, and in the industry called PERS. But we've actually expanded upon that to try to provide more personal safety for everyone.
One of the benefits that I feel of having a PERS device is efficiency in terms of how quickly you can get help. That's like one of the biggest benchmarks, KPIs, I would assume. So how much of a difference can a PERS device make? Like how critical is it in terms of, let's say, time saved and any other metrics that you can give us insight on?
Sure. So let's just talk a little bit about size of the market. So by 2040, 1 in 4 Americans will be 65 and over. And for those 65 and over, 1 in 4 will fall. So that's a huge market. This isn't a niche market issue, right? So when we talk about getting help as soon as possible, that is huge. There's actually literally a term that's called golden hour in the medical community, which means that if you don't get help within the first hour of when you have an incident, then your health outcome is much worse, like 80% or something like that worse. Yeah. And so getting help is really important. But actually also finding out whether or not, in fact, something is a fall or not a fall, totally important, because that really stops people from wanting to wear these devices.
Yeah. Now, are there any PERS solutions that have become like standard on, let's say, smartphones or Alexa? Or, how do you kind of incorporate these technology advances outside of what I think we've all seen in infomercials of pressing a button that's with a necklace wrapped around your neck? Like, what are some innovations in that space?
Sure. So, and I think that's really the issue and why we're here today. We haven't really seen a lot of those innovations. And so Alexa and some of these devices stand alone, and they're really great for like ordering groceries and getting your weather, and that's awesome. But that connectivity between the wearable devices and the connected home hasn't happened at the speed that we think it should be in a world where everything is IoT. right? And so that's sort of where we come into play. I mean, we are very excited to try to bring some of that IoT innovation into what's pretty much an old school business.
And by the way, we do have your deck available as well. So if you'd like some slides to be shown, let us know, and we'll have our producer go ahead and put that up there. What are the Aster is designed to address, right? And what can we kind of see impacts on and solutions that are being addressed in that area?
Sure. So we talked a lot about sort of the aging population, which is huge. It's called the silver tsunami, right? We're not going to see this many elderly people for a really long time. Huge market. But what we're really excited about is also extending personal safety into a market for everyone. And when we talk about sort of personal safety for everyone, that's really like 66% of Americans are afraid to do outdoor activities because they're worried about personal safety. And so what Aster does is it really actually has a lot of different sort of aspects to it that's different than other personal safety apps. You know, today, who has the time when you're being attacked, if you're running, to basically put your phone in front of your face, usually huge, and unlock the phone and then start the personal safety app, right? Or you maybe have to clutch this really big phone and try to press it like 7 times where somebody is attacking you, or you're trying to, you know, fight off something in an emergency. Our product actually is tied to a button that allows you to sort of easily push the button and get help when you need it, even when the phone is not actively running. The app is not actively running on the phone, right? And for people who are interested in sort of technology, that's huge because that's actually a harder thing to do, but it allows you to actually have that personal safety when you need it. And, you know, the app is not actively, you know, running when you don't need it. So it's not draining your phone when you need it the most, right? And that's a huge thing to do.
I'm glad you mentioned, because even for me, like if I'm out, if I have friends that are out and, you know, they're coming back from a late night or just a walk in the park, whatever the case is, I think what you mentioned is huge, where especially, let's just take an iPhone, for example. iPhone has so many different buttons that are new and, hey, different things that it can do now, where I don't even necessarily remember how to turn off my iPhone. Nonetheless, where it's like, hey, if I'm under pressure, if I'm being attacked and I need to contact my emergency contact number, right? And I don't know what the buttons are. I don't know what the 3 buttons are. By the time you do it, there's a lot of steps, I feel like, still, to where if you need to get in touch with someone to let them know that, hey, you may not be okay, time is everything, like we discussed at the top. So I'm glad you kind of addressed those same concerns that I think not just me, but many Americans that are watching and, you know, around the country deal with as well. What else is kind of in the pipeline? What are some things that folks can kind of get excited for that you're kind of working on that we can possibly look forward to in, let's say, the next 6 to 12 months or maybe even more?
So we're a public company. We do actually have something that's launching very soon. I can't tell you exactly, but let's just call it very soon. That's really going to change how we think about and use PERS and medical alert products, right? To your point, these devices are either like a garage opener with 1 button, which is really nice because they're easy to use and you see a button and you just push it. But we also know that there's extended uses. There's opportunities to bring more features and services. I mean, today we actually have fall detection that's better than other people's, you know, patent protected. We actually have geofencing for those with memory care issues, and that's really a new feature. But imagine actually having a device that doesn't just do those 2 things, but actually when new features come up, like medicine reminder, a lot of us have elderly loved ones who can't remember what kind of meds they're taking. And so that sort of capability to have those features rolled in when you need it the most. I mean, today our expectations for our cars is that when a new feature comes up, kind of like the Tesla, a new feature will just sort of show up right on your device. And so you could opt to basically, you know, try it for a little bit and then opt to pay for it. That really doesn't exist in a PERS industry because it hasn't really caught up to the IoT standards that we're all used to living with, you know, now. And so imagine being able to do that. And so that's all I can tell you. But we're really excited about the technology. Again, you know, as a sandwich generation caretaker, that's 1 in 3 millennials and more than half of Gen Xers. I think it's a really big deal.
Now, you know, for me, I'm like 34 years old. I think I'm relatively healthy. And even I have to say, hey, Siri, set an alarm for this because I have this event, right? Like the calendar is what runs my life. And so I think it's very key to note that, hey, whether you're, you know, a young person or someone who's lived a little bit of a longer life, that you need to be reminded to take certain things, whether it's, hey, I have an interview with Chia-Lin or, hey, I need to take my meds, right? So completely understand on that. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that I didn't get a chance to bring up that you feel like our viewers should be, you know, informed about here today?
Sure. I know that we spend a lot of time in a world today talking about AI, and so I always jokingly laugh, people, with people like, "Hey, look, I love to create my own journey, like, picture with a cat on my Sunday, right?"
Yeah.
That's fun, but that's really not what AI should be used for. AI should be applied to basically category areas where we think it's going to make a huge difference, and this is a category that's no different than that. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of time actually filing patents. I mean, in the 3.5 years I've been here, we filed 14 plus patents, some of
Wow.
which are in AI. And the reason why we do AI is because, we talked a lot about reactive technology. How do we be faster or better at getting
Right.
responses to people? So because it makes a health difference, right? But let's talk a little bit about just preventing those darn things, because if you have a fall, your likelihood of falling again is higher. So we've really focused on trying to basically get ourselves to a predictive technology. So you'll see us basically building a lot of technology that's actually helping to get to know who you are, and then actually then looking at your patterns and differentiation in patterns to say, hey, there's something off here, and sharing that with your caretakers and say, like, this, may give you a probability for fall. So your digital twin compared to an aggregation of other people's digital twins, when they had that pattern, 3 to 6 months later, they had a fall. That is how we should be looking at AI in the world that we live in today. And that's the type of work that we're doing here.
I think I think you nailed it, because I'm an avid user of ChatGPT, more so today than I was back in the day. Not just like, hey, tell me 10 knock jokes that are funny, but more so of, hey, like the AI has kind of picked up, like you kind of mentioned, my habits and my tendencies, to the point where I asked a question on a brand new prompt, and it went ahead and answered the question based on the 50th question I may have asked 2 months ago, based on, oh, hey, you mentioned this, or hey, this is your lifestyle. Hey, you're in the stock market, so maybe this will be more effective for you for this trip, or whatever the case is. And I think that's what's key, is where they recognize that pattern is where, hey, the last time you dealt with this is what happened. So keeping that in mind, maybe you should think about this as well, because our bodies, our life is all interconnected, intertwined, whether we recognize it or not. So I'm really glad you kind of brought that up. And thank you so much for your time here today. I appreciate it. And I know whenever those announcements come ahead, I'd love to talk to you again about them.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You got it. That is Chia-Lin Simmons, who is the CEO of LogicMark. Ticker on the NASDAQ, again, is LGMK. Thank you for watching All Access. All right. We're going to go ahead and see if my man Ryan is available. What's up? Going to bring up, Aaron never plays the outro. Aaron, we're in a fight.
Well, I mean, was something supposed to be played there?
Well, if I'm ending All Access, which now he's got to change the graphics in the back. But
well, at least he's doing that.
Is he? Is he doing that? Hey, AT, it's Anne Marie's show. It's live trading was at 9. Let's see how long it takes him. There you go. He's switching. He's clicking buttons.
I tell you what, we're going to be lucky if Anne Marie even shows up with this clown car
thing that
we've got going right.
That's AT. No. I can't believe you called him a clown, but hi.
There's Anne Marie. Anne Marie, good morning. How you doing? Are you look, we're trying to bring it back to a serious note here. Hopefully we didn't scare you off with getting the right banner on there.
All good.
Okay.
All good.
All right.
Sinead, good stuff.
Hey,
appreciate
it. Absolutely.
Go settle your score with AT.
I will. I'm going to Slack him right now. Enjoy your time off, Anne Marie. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Take care.
Flying out to the desert tomorrow. Thank you, Zunaid.
All right. I'm in Miami. We're a little different, but fun stuff. AT, myself, and Phil will be at the Hood event. So a lot of great content coming out of it.
That's right. Robinhood hasn't. I actually forgot about that. You guys are actually doing work. See, I'm not doing that. I'm doing golf.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hate you
welcome.
too. Bye.
You're welcome. This is a kind of relationship that we have here, Anne Marie. We like to have fun.
I hate you.
With one another. We like to have fun with it. Okay. Anne Marie, welcome back. I know it's kind of been a while between travel and hurricane and all the other stuff that goes on with life, but we're back. We're happy to have you back. Let's go ahead and take a look at some stocks that we can set up some trades on. I'm going to go ahead and share your screen here real quick. I didn't gather any from the chat today. I think I do have one in here. I'm trying to go back and see if there's any that I missed.
There's so
we
much.
Covered them
all. What do we have? We have snow that's on the edge of something, but they just reported. Let's look at Netflix.
Okay.
they're going to report in a couple of days.
Okie dokie.
The 17th. So that is Thursday.
And
Yeah.
that's after. Yep, that's Thursday afternoon.
All right. So this looks like it might be something worthwhile. A big report came out that said, Netflix has found its way back and blah, 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 blah. So, it could be a pretty nice choice. Notice this pink line here is the SPY, and it is outperforming Netflix a fair bit, right? So could be catch up, could be something else. $36 is the ATR. Let's see what the traders are, market makers are saying. $50. And then let's see what the real spread is. Whoa, $70. Wow. Okay. So, and again, for those of us that might be a little bit new, you want to go to the options page and you want to look for the ask, and you want to see how much it is. It's $31.60 on the put side, and you go at the money. So it's going to be right around where the price is. And so this one is $39.45. And so that's $70 and some change.
Mm-hmm.
Market makers are only pricing in 50 and the ATR is 30. So no confluence there. Now, when we have something that's got no confluence, we start thinking about going really wide. And so this is a pretty wide position right here, if it will behave and move. All right, forget it.
Yeah, those scroll wheels have a mind of their own, Anne-Marie,
Yeah.
those little scrolling things.
So two things. Either they are really wrong or really right. And so we're looking for a trade that's going to cost little bit to nothing and then give us a shot at a very big upside. And so this is $15 wide. So $1,500 upside. And this one's going to cost $90 for the first one on the put side and $50 on the call side. So you might go, why we have them so far away? And that's a valid question. You could easily go to, the $50 above and say you want to go $750. Oops. You could say $750 to $765 to 65. That would be 75, 85, 80. Yeah. And that way they're closer to price. So 65 is sort of what you're looking at. But this one is only $60 away. And this one, they're about the same price there. So you might look at that and say, all right, I'll do that. I'll do that trade. But I like it because it's got a tremendous amount of upside. And, you're going to spend about $150 maximum. And potential upside is 150 from 1,500. So that's a pretty solid move. And because it's all the way in November, if it's a dud, and it doesn't do anything, you can always turn it into a short spread, or you could take it off completely. See how it's jumping around? How it
Yeah.
went from 40
Yeah.
cents to $1.18? That is fairly typical, close coming into the day. But I would sort of split the difference and see if you can get it for 60, 70 cents.
It almost seems like when it does that, it's going to be tough to get that filled if you throw that order out there.
Yeah. And so the one that I came back to initially,
surprise!
It's like, yeah, camera's on. I
was going to say, I don't think he knew.
He didn't.
Remind him, this is a great time to remind him that the internet lives forever, by the way. That is perfect.
Oh, he just saw that I was sharing my screen. He didn't realize that the camera was on.
That's okay. We're friendly here.
All right. So if you wanted to try something else a little further out where you could get it, again, price action, it's starting to really heat up. So my thought is that's exactly what's happening. They're pumping the volatility into this area. And here's what we know. Netflix, it's had some earning spaces where it's moved, $70, $80. And so it might not be a bad idea to go, all right, I'm going to pay a little bit more and get myself up in that space, or I'm going to keep a little less and, do whatever. But I do like this trade because I think the risk to reward is exceptional.
Okay. Okay, really good stuff. I do have two I think we might be able to make trades out of. Okay, so first of all, ASML looks like they pre-released their guide today and got absolutely destroyed on it. Wow. So they also, if I'm not mistaken, they also report earnings tonight. Let me make sure I have my dates correct here, because this is definitely going to factor into the trade. Yes,
before
it's
tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. So effectively the same thing. So and then we also had chip news recently. And we got a lot of stuff going on here. So ASML, what do you think here?
Wow, look at the ATR, 90. Holy smokes. All right, let's see how much they're pumping. Okay, so 71% is the implied vol in October, but in November, what are they doing for the 70, 80? Yeah, almost $80 they've got pumped into there. The market makers are only calling $34. That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. They're going to get smashed. So if that's the case, we think it's probably a buy the dip. Would we guess? Looks to me like
it sure does. Look where that traded down to. That entire, I can't get the crosshair on your screen, but the bottom wicks of those right there. And even if you look to the left, this is hitting other levels that this is interacting with. This to me looks like a support level. You got a volume shelf there to the right. I mean,
exactly right. The VPOC, the volume point of control, is right here. And so even if it collapses, it should bounce. So we have a potential one-way trade. So let's, how much did it get?
Uh-oh. We have an internet connection issue. Don't worry. Okay. We don't need me full screen though. That is for certain. We will get back to Anne Marie. I'm sure she's going to join here. I was looking at ASML while we were talking about that. We'll get Anne Marie back here really quickly, though. I know from those of you that were joining us from before, you guys were looking at drug. Oh my goodness. More halts here. This is actually the 6th halt. So this last halt was a down halt. The halt, just as we were changing shows, actually took us to 17.15. Oh my goodness. So I hope everyone's okay. Hopefully everyone that was trading drug got their money and got out with it, or whatever the case is. Drug now open here. We'll see if we get a bounce from this on drug as we wait for Anne-Marie here. So is that what happened here, Elon? Those results were leaked? So this wasn't then a pre-announcement or anything. This was, they were actually leaked, because it sure looked like they were giving their entire earnings report right there, right? Reports, net sale, beats consensus. Yeah, so this, wow. And they weren't supposed to report till tomorrow. Looks like this leak, then they sent the press release out. So let me check in with my news desk and see if that's exactly what happened here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it looks like that is exactly what happened here. Yeah, that is exactly what happened here. Great call. Great call on that one. Was that Elon? Okay, so interesting. So I guess we don't have a report coming tomorrow. Looks like they kind of leaked the report here today. And that was the reaction here. Okay. Well, I'll make sure Anne-Marie posts those trades. We only have 15 minutes left here, so I'll make sure Anne-Marie posts those trades in Pro for all of you. If anyone that doesn't have Pro, if you meet us in, or if you come back tomorrow, I'd be happy to share them with you. Okay. Yeah, Daddy Backstrap, the first time I've seen during a trading hours report, I don't think they intended to do this. It sounds to me, and even the news desk team that was covering this in real time, it definitely sounds to me like they leaked this report, like this was an accident. And now we're not going to get the report tomorrow morning. So that gives us something to talk about a little bit later. But that looks like what's gone on here with ASML. Not a good report. This thing came in. Yeah, the earlier. So this is what, Elon, so this is kind of what's going on here. The earlier flush, that's this here, was caused by the report. You did get kind of like a dead cat bounce in here. But now I think that people are figuring this out and digesting it. We're just kind of moving back towards the low. Let me tell 13, because I know he signed off here. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Let's see. Let you know if we get Anne-Marie back here. Appreciate you hanging out with us. This has been a busy morning. I don't think any of us expected this for a Tuesday morning here. Between all of the stuff, drug that went absolutely crazy, ASML leaking their earnings, good Lord. Had some pretty good moves on some of these stocks here too. NIVF, what happened here? This went from penny stock territory to dollar territory. I would imagine this had to do something on news here. No. Received the notification for being under the listing price yesterday. I don't know, but we got Anne-Marie back, so we'll go ahead and get back to her as soon as she's ready. We've been dealing with internet issues. No worries, folks. Anne-Marie, if you're ready, give me a thumbs up. I'll bring you on whenever. Okay, thumbs up. Here we go, Anne-Marie. Not a whole lot you can do. Sometimes tech issues rule the day. That's just how it goes.
That's the way it goes.
That's okay, though. We're flexible here.
Yeah, and if we weren't, we'd learn to be, or else we'd be sad a lot.
Exactly. You better be flexible. That's how you enjoy things in life, because life doesn't care for you to be rigid, it seems. So
Exactly.
Okay, so real quickly, while you were gone, I actually learned something here, Anne-Marie. It looks to me like ASML accidentally leaked their earnings. So while they were scheduled to report tomorrow morning, the entire report is out. and I was catching up with my news desk here. Seems to me that when you get those numbers, something was posted on their website early or something like that. So I'm not sure we're actually getting this earnings report tomorrow. Seems like it was leaked here today.
Oh my. Okay. Well, yeah. So it might fade and then bounce.
Yeah.
Let's see how. No, that fade gave us more fades. This seems like such a sweet spot, though, right?
It sure does. And I'm still looking at it because it definitely seems like this is where it would stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we just choose the long side. And that one gives us
Anne-Marie, one more thing to note here real quick. Here,
sure.
I'll throw it up on the screen. Just real fast. I'll go right back to you. I don't know if you ever watched the 500-day moving average on the daily, but this went right to it. And this is actually the second time that it has gone to this. So I think that just kind of furthers our case for this being a support level. Last time it tested this was Tuesday, September 10th. We actually moved, it looks like, since that day to here, we moved up almost 150 points. So, okay, so this is kind of what's going on with ASML. Let me get your charts back up here. Oops. There we go.
Okay, so if it's moving and it's still falling, I mean, it's still falling. So the question might be,
so Anne-Marie, really quickly, just for some numbers here, the low off the initial impulse move to the downside was 735.11. That was your dead low. The stock is currently 745, but it had a dead cat bounce and it's kind of rolling back over to retest that 735 area. At least it looks like that on the intraday chart.
Yeah, you know, the only fly in the ointment here, if I might say, is that this is a high and a low and a lower high and a lower low and a lower high and a retest of this zone. So it's very hard to say definitively it's going to bounce. Let's go to the day and see how hard they've struggled here. No, yeah, it's still in free fall. And so I don't know what it could go down to this low volume pocket at 660 and then turn around. If instead of the back ratio we did a double butterfly, $20, you know, it would cost us about $2, and this one's got $2,000 of upside for these guys. So it's really, you know, 10%, and you know, you'd want to just let it work itself out. If you wanted to do, they might both work, right? The put one might work first, and then, you know, if somebody comes in and says, hey, you know, put the call, boy, I wonder if somebody got their marching papers for doing something like that.
I'm starting to think the same thing here. And real quick, by the way, Easy Mike here in the chat, the expected move was a 41 handle move, and he said we got 4 times that. Sure looks like we got like 3.5 times that. I did notice that on your last screen there for the options, I think the market maker was saying it looked to move $34. Okay, 35, is that what that is? So we did get 4 times the expected move on this.
Yeah, shocking. So yeah, you know, if you want the call, I think putting this for 800 to 820, look at what it 820 is right here at the baseline of support. So that's a great middle strike. That's a great middle strike. And you want it to be a little bit wider because the stock is so expensive. So you have some room to move. Here's the fantastic thing, though. If this continues to fall into the end of the day, look, this thing went from $1.16 to 70 cents, and now it's sitting at around $1. You know, you could put it in there and see, hey, listen, can I get it? Oh, no, it was 50 cents just a second ago. So, and that's because the volume is low, right? It's got a little messy.
Yeah.
It's going to be here. So,
and so with these positions, you'd really kind of want to go in small with these, right? Because there's a
oh,
chance that these don't even
absolutely.
get filled. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely small. You want
Okay.
to go, you know, this is your lottery ticket event, right? So you buy literally one of them because it's a space where you go, it's either going to go really well or it's not going to go at all. This might be something where they sit back and go, all right, well, our analyst needs to go digest some moves and figure out what's going on here. If we've got, you know, embezzlement or just really bad accounting or just a really bad quarter. So, you know, and they could easily be crumbling under the, don't they do chips?
Yeah.
Isn't this a chip
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they could be crumbling under the competition from everybody else. So that, I mean, it really depends.
Yeah, they do the lithography systems. Easy for me to say. Manufacturing semiconductors. Okay. All right. Well, do we have another one? Do you have enough time? It looks like we've got 6 minutes here. I have another one that might be a little bit more digestible or palatable for us. This would be ticker NKE, Nike. This one I recently was short this name, and stock looked like it chopped around, so I didn't want to stay in it. I ended up closing the short for a 1.5 gain. I was looking for closer to 10. So I'm almost wondering if we're at a spot here where the double butterfly for the upside and the downside would make sense. I guess, what say you?
Well, if we put it far out, then the answer is probably yes. So if we take a look at a weekly and we say, when did they report? At the end of September? So they don't report until December. I don't know. This doesn't look very good, does it?
No, and if a double butterfly is not the right thing, that's okay too. I'm just wondering if there's a way we can trade Nike using some of these options.
Oh yeah, for sure. So my thought is, in this kind of formation, the side that's got, I think that this is a bounce into another sell zone, right? Somebody else is gonna take over the reins and choose, probably. I don't know. These things, they never stay at the top forever, right? And so if this is, here it is up at 80, do we expect it to get, if they try to get to 100, that's awesome, but it's probably more likely that they fall back into 70, right? Although Christmas is coming, I don't know what to say about this one. I don't like it because it's in a really, I don't like it to buy because it's in a downtrend. I think you picked it perfectly. And for negative formation, it's just bouncing back into relative resistance. And then here is the support zone coming. It might get back down here into these areas. So let's take a look. Let's see how, got plenty of volume. So if we go to, whoa, let's choose December. We could say, we could say 95 to 65 and do a strangle straight out. 91 cents. It's going to have decay. It's going to have, if price action does nothing, it's going to have $3 of decay a day. because they're both out of the money. And so for those of us who want to understand how theta moves, if you just look at this number here, it'll tell you all else equal, that's how much your long position will leak. Now, if you think the price action is going to be something good or big, and you choose maybe the 90, 97, you could do a 1 by 3 by 2, and that's 45 cents. 1 by 3 by 2 on a call side is pretty great if the price action is down and it takes a big sweep up. If it's trending to the upside, you never want to use a 1 by 3 by 2 because it's going to shake you out of your shoes.
Okay.
Because it'll continue to move in the direction of trend, and pretty soon you're short a call spread and the price action should be long. So the only times you want to use 1 by 3 by 2 on a call spread is if there might be a jolt, but it's definitely not trending because you're trying to use some money. It uses a little bit of margin. In this case, I don't know why it's not showing up as margin required. That's weird. Oh, maybe it's because of the strangle. Hold on. Let me do this. Yeah. So there's a little bit of margin. It's $750 for the margin event for each one. But if you put the strangle on, the strangle holds it in place because it's, there's another call in there and it turns into a condor if you want to see where the risk profile is. Let me see if I can make this. Yeah. See how it's got the curve like an iron condor? So that is what it would turn into. But I like it because, hey, it could punch up, but it's got to have a lot of movement to get up over this, 97, 98 area.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay.
So, and it's a cheap way to take the long if the price action comes back to bounce.
Okay. Real good stuff. We made it through the tech issues too. One quick question before we let you go here. Thinking about it, saying, does Anne-Marie ever sell put or call spreads? I want to say the answer here is yes.
Yes. Strictly call spreads, strictly put spreads. I want to see a really nice trend. Okay. Normally I'm using a combination, right? So if things are really down, I'll sell a call spread, but I also might buy a put butterfly. Or if trend is significantly moving up, I might sell a put spread, but I might also buy a call butterfly. It's just whatever it is that price action tells me. And the way that I do that is by looking at the weekly, monthly, and the daily moving averages. And if they're all moving in the same direction, it tells me I'm going to be pretty much better off moving in a directional trend with the charts.
Okay. Really good stuff, Anne-Marie. Thanks again. Thanks so much for all of that. Reminder, we will not have a show here on Friday as I will be in the desert on some much needed time off. Appreciate it. We will be back at this again next week though.
Absolutely. See you then.
All right. Take care, Anne-Marie. Folks, thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate all of your support.